Every sport has interesting rules, but the NFL tops them all, and I'm about to prove it. From a rule that prevents supporting cancer research to a touchdown celebration rule that applies to every team except for one, these are NFL rules you didn't know existed. For instance, did you know that an extra point attempt isn't the only way to score 1 point? If yes, pat yourself on the back, but don't worry, even lesser known rules are on the way. However, if you're the other 95%, you'll be surprised to hear of the 1-point safety. The way it works is surprisingly simple. If your team scores a safety on an extra point attempt or 2-point conversion, they're awarded 1 point. Wait a second, this rule actually makes sense. Since a defensive touchdown on 2-point conversions is only worth 2 points, it would be weird to make a 2-point conversion safety worth the same amount. Yet the reason you probably haven't heard of this rule isn't that it's bizarre. Instead, it comes down to the rarity of a 1-point safety. Since 1940, a 1-point safety has never happened in the NFL. But luckily, that's not the case for college football. In fact, the 1-point safety has happened on multiple occasions. Most recently, this uncommon rule happened in a 2013 bout between Kansas and Oregon State. This example proves a 1-point safety is possible, just extremely unlikely. I mean, for now, this rule's the NFL's way to cover all the bases, and a way for you to show off your football knowledge to friends. Woohoo! On the other hand, this next rule was always used, although fans aren't convinced the rule is a good one. Back in 2016, the Lions were coming off a scoring possession, something that doesn't happen often. Boom! Roasted, Lion fans. However, their scoring possession would soon be overshadowed by Montgomery's brilliance. Because despite perfectly placing the kick inbounds at the 2-yard line, Montgomery miraculously escaped poor field positioning. The culprit? An out-of-bounds kickoff penalty. Like everyone else, you must be thinking, how is this possible? As it turns out, Montgomery knew something everyone else didn't. According to the rulebook, if a player touches the ball while standing out of bounds, it still qualifies as an out-of-bounds kickoff penalty. So that's exactly what he did. Instead of starting at their 2-yard line, the Packers started their next possession at the 35-yard line. This sent fans into a frenzy since the rule is borderline idiotic. Although, I'll beg to differ. I mean, yes, the rule might be stupid, but he created an iconic moment. We have to give Montgomery credit for outsmarting the NFL. He was playing chess while everyone else was playing checkers, for Pete's sake. Give the man his flowers. As questionable as this rule is, it is far from the only dubious rule. For example, did you know that DeAngelo Williams once got fined for supporting cancer research? Come on, Goodell, talk about an L. As back in 2015, Williams felt compelled to honor his mother and 4 aunts, which he lost to cancer. He did this by wearing eye black with the phrase "find the cure." While most would agree this action was honorable, the NFL threw a fit. Whether Williams realized it or not, this simple statement conflicted with the league's uniform policy, which doesn't allow personal messages on the body. Since Williams used eye black to display a personal message, he was in clear violation of this rule. Therefore, the league fined DeAngelo Williams almost $6,000. Come on, NFL, you gotta let this one incident slide. It was Cancer Awareness Month, for crying out loud. It's also pretty ironic, considering the league now allows teams to make social and political statements through helmet decals. However, let's now shift the conversation to where player fines go. Contrary to popular beliefs, these fines don't go towards the league. Instead, the NFL does something admirable with these fines by donating the money to help legends in need. This allows former NFL players who are struggling financially to get back on their feet. Since 2011, the league has donated around $4 million each year to support former players. At least I have more peace of mind knowing Williams' petty fine did some good in the NFL community. This next rule was created by the CEO Roger Goodell himself, and it says all fans watching the game of football need to like and subscribe to the channel. Gotcha! Anyways, let's get back to some crazy NFL rules, such as the following rule, which even Madden doesn't know about. Come on! If you play Madden, do me a favor and try starting your 3rd-string quarterback. Nothing happens, right? Well, that's not exactly how the NFL works. Because if an NFL team starts their 3rd-string quarterback before the second half, then their first 2 quarterbacks are automatically disqualified from returning. However, this rule doesn't just apply to playing quarterback. Even if the 3rd-string quarterback plays another position, the rule still goes into effect. Now, that's just puzzling. Was the NFL high when they came up with this rule? I don't blame Madden for ignoring this rule altogether. On a similar note, do you know what else you won't see in Madden? A messed up snap, which deals with another bizarre rule. As chaotic as messed up snaps appear, there are some restrictions to what can happen. Assuming the quarterback doesn't touch the snap, they are the only ones allowed the ball next. So whether the snap goes between the quarterback's legs or flies over their head, it doesn't matter. The quarterback has to touch the ball before the defenders can get a hand on it. Trust me, I was just as surprised as you are now when I heard about this rule. Is it just me, or is the NFL getting soft? Either way, I'm not a fan of the rule. Similarly, the following rule is also controversial. It's not often we see a fake punt, but when it does happen, it's heavily favored by the defense. Turns out there's such thing as the 5-yard contact rule, which allows cornerbacks to only make contact with receivers during the first 5 yards. However, this rule doesn't apply when offenses line in punt formation. So all of a sudden, cornerbacks can push around receivers as much as they want. Okay, I stand corrected. Maybe the NFL isn't soft. And since we're on the topic, let's cut these punters some slack the next time they mess a fake punt up. Unless the pass is outright terrible. Garrow's gaff. Then boo them all you want. Besides a fake punt, an overtime coin toss is something you don't see often. However, like a fake punt, it comes with wild rules. Since the overtime coin toss holds so much weight, the NFL has very specific rules for how it needs to be carried out. Is how many players need to partake in the coin toss. According to the rules, each team needs exactly 6 players on the field, or else they automatically forfeit the coin toss. Could you imagine what would happen if a team miscounted and only sent 5 players on the field? That would be almost as embarrassing as the butt fumble. No doubt they'd be the butt of the joke. But seriously, this rule seems a bit excessive. Anyways, let's move on to the dropkick rule. Nowadays, we're used to watching kickers kick extra points using a tee, but that doesn't mean it's the only way to attempt an extra point. Just ask Doug Flutie, who once dropkicked the ball through the uprights in 2006. At first, everyone was dumbfounded. Nobody knew this obscure kicking method was allowed, which shouldn't come as a surprise given its usage. Believe it or not, Flutie's dropkick was the first successful dropkick since 1941. Ever since footballs became less round, teams have stayed away from dropkicks. Surprisingly, this isn't even the weirdest kicking rule. Trust me, it doesn't compete with the fair catch free kick rule, which was utilized by the Panthers in 2019. According to the rule, if a team calls a fair punt, they have the option to attempt a free kick on the following play. And I know what you must be thinking. What in the world is a free kick? Apparently, a free kick is like a field goal with a few major adjustments. Unlike a field goal, the defense needs to be 10 yards away, like a kickoff, and can't block the kick. Additionally, the kicker's not allowed to use a holder to attempt the kick. Not gonna lie, I think the NFL should eliminate this rule. It's so pointless. I bet some referees don't even have this rule memorized. This brings us to the moment you've all been waiting for: band celebrations, starting with goalpost dunks. From Devontae Adams' 360 dunk and Donald Penn's hilarious attempt to Tony Gonzalez's myriad of impressive dunks, this celebration was a classic and a fan favorite. That was until the NFL outlawed this celebration altogether in 2014. I'm not gonna point fingers, but Jimmy Graham might be responsible for this ban. After all, he once bent a goalpost mid-game with one of his dunks. Seriously, Jimmy, you ruined the fun for everyone. While I understand that celebration ban, I don't understand why only the Packers can jump into the crowd after touchdowns. Get that the Lambeau Leap is sacred and all, but come on, let the other teams join in the fun. It's like that friend who never lets you touch their stuff. Like, what's the point, bruh? Speaking of fun, if you've enjoyed this video, feel free to watch another. The NFL penalizes back-to-back timeouts, but we definitely won't punish you if you watch back-to-back videos.